creators, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an awesome interview with Adam Young, who has the YouTube channel Side Hustle Simplified. And in that channel, he talks about a bunch of different stuff. Amazon merch, print on demand, YouTube creation, but he also is an Amazon influencer and has had a lot of success with that. So that's what we're going to focus on today. But first, Adam, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much for having me, Tyler. I appreciate it. I've watched your other interviews you've done so far. They're great, so I'm happy to be here.
Cool. Well, before we get deep into the Amazon stuff, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into side hustles in the first place.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I started sometime around 2015, decided, I want to make some extra money, right? And I didn't really have a background in anything with online business or side hustles, but I had some friends that sold some stuff on eBay. So that's kind of where I started, going to the garage sales and finding stuff and selling it on eBay. And that quickly sort of developed into looking into things like Etsy. I opened an Etsy shop where I was selling physical products. And then I stumbled on Amazon and started learning about the Amazon ecosystem with Amazon FBA and Amazon print on demand with their merch on demand program. I joined that in 2018. And since then, I've sort of, I've done a lot of different side hustles, learned more things not to do than what to do. But all during this time, I was going back to grad school and I was working full time. And in 2020, kind of at the peak there of the pandemic, or the beginning, I guess, I had an opportunity to leave my current job and to go full time into this entrepreneur world. I had slowly grown over the years and just decided, the planets are aligning. This is a sign. So since 2020, I've been doing it, doing this side hustles and creating online businesses full time since then for the past few years. And I'm really, really focused and interested in creating side hustles that have a passive element. We talk about this passive thing all the time, but not everything is really passive. But, I'll give you an example. There's videos out there, people that, can make a lot of money pressure washing, right? Pressure washing driveways. Well, that's not passive. You have to go out there and you have to pressure wash. So things like Amazon merch on demand and blogging and recently the Amazon influencer program have passive elements. So that's kind of what's led me to where I'm at now. My girlfriend convinced me to start a YouTube channel to finally start documenting it. And yeah, here I am.
Well, and I know that YouTube channel now is 1 year old, I think yesterday.
Yes,
So
yes,
congrats
it is.
on that. It's a channel I subscribe to and watch. I'm interested in a lot of your side hustles. Let's talk about just kind of how you spread your time right now, because you are
Sure.
doing a lot of things. And while a lot of people watching this just for Amazon influencer are doing it very part-time, you're also having to do it part-time because you're doing all these other things. So can you give us kind of a breakdown of where you're spending your time right now and maybe what's the best return on your time investment? Like what's working for you right now?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I actually, this week I've sort of taken a little bit break from online my businesses because it's the end of the year, right? We're all kind of reflecting on the past year and kind of formulating plans for 2024, the next year. And a big component of that is the Amazon influencer program. So when I started out in 2023, I had never heard of Amazon influencer program. It was February when I sort of caught wind of it and applied, and I got started really like the last few days of February, early March. And at that time, I still didn't know the potential of the program or what it was going to grow into. But now, after reflecting over the past year, I mean, this is definitely going to be one of my core components for 2024. And I'm sure we'll get into that, just sort of the numbers and the success and stuff. But to answer your question about, my time, it's changed a lot from what it was in the beginning of the year to what it is now. So at the beginning of the year, I was heavily focused into my print on demand business with merch by Amazon. But as I started to see success with the Amazon influencer program, I began to cut out some of my other side hustles that weren't giving me that same return. So I used to do some freelance writing on the side. I have a couple blogs and websites, but all of those were quickly being overshadowed by the Amazon influencer program. So at the beginning of the year, the answer to your question would have been a couple hours a week. I was just making some videos, and kind of getting the ball rolling. But as I quickly learned after that first 30 days, no, I'm going to really start ramping this up. So now it's half of my time, I would say,
Hmm.
I'm working on the Amazon influencer program. So, entrepreneurs, our work weeks vary. Sometimes you get 20 hours in, sometimes you work 100 hours. But
Right.
I would say half of my time right now is focused on the Amazon Influencer Program.
That's crazy. Well, it's interesting for me because we share a few side hustles, and one of the ones that I was just reflecting on today is the early signing period for college football recruits. And a year ago was my last blog entry as a sports writer, where I was
Really?
getting media passes to go to football games. I was appearing on the
Yeah.
radio, but Amazon Influencer was taking off for me at that time a year ago. And I was like, I just can't do blogging anymore. I just
Yeah.
can't make the time for it. So totally get where you're
That's
coming
interesting.
from,
Yeah,
where you put the time where you're seeing the return on your investment for sure.
exactly. Exactly.
Cool. Well, let's go back in time then to last February, March, as you were getting into the program. When you get in, there are two hurdles you have to pass. First, you have to qualify just for the program, and then you have to qualify for on-site commissions. Did you go through any rejections during that period, or did you get in flying colors? What was that timeline like for you, and how did you experience that?
So fortunately, I did not receive any rejections. I got in first try. I applied with a TikTok account, was a social media account that I had. It was a modest following. It had a few thousand followers. And actually, I had started it, is attached to one of my blogs. So it was a social media channel to one of my websites. And it had built up and had some momentum, but it was really only a few months old. I mean, I was still just learning that side of things. But I got in with the TikTok. And then, from my experience, like I said, I used to sell on Amazon FBA. I sell on Amazon merch. I sell on Amazon KDP. I know Amazon is a stickler when it comes to rules and their requirements and terms and conditions and things like that. So I was very, very thorough when I was reading about the program in those first 3 videos, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And I didn't want to give them any reason at all to reject my videos. So I really did take my time there to create 3 good videos that weren't complicated, didn't have anything that was controversial. I even filmed them just on a white background, a white wall. I mean, it was literally nothing. And those 3 got in, and then I was sort of off to the races.
Yeah. Well, I think that what you just shared is actually really important for people who are looking to get into the program. We overcomplicate it so often. And if you just have a clean background, good audio, good video quality, and then make a video that's going to help someone make a purchasing
Yeah,
decision, you're going to get in.
yeah,
Amazon wants good influencers in the program. So that's
agreed.
really good advice there. If we go back again to those early days, as you got into the program, did you start cranking out videos like crazy, or did you kind of ramp up? What did that first month look like?
Yeah, so I had when I first heard about the program and the theory or the concept that you can create these videos and they're going to go on the product pages, okay? That immediately just blew my mind because I have a background in blogging, right? And I know how it is about traffic, whether you're trying to drive traffic to a website or to a social media page. I mean, that's the hardest part, right? And Amazon's one of the largest websites in the world. So I'm sitting there going, so you're telling me all I have to do is film a video about this mouse and it's going to be put on that product page where a customer is already shopping on one of the largest websites in the world, and then it doesn't even cost me anything to list it. I'm not being charged a fee to list it. And then I get a commission if somebody watches it. I just immediately was like, I have to go all in on this. So what I did was I promised myself for the first 30 days I would do as much as I can. So I did my first 3 videos and got approved, kind of read over everything, got organized with some of my products around the house. And that first month, I said, I'm going to do 30 days and then I'm going to look at the data, and the data will tell me my next step. So I did like 225 videos, I think, the first 30 days. I mean, I really put everything else on the back burner and I just went through everything I could get my hands on here in the house and my mom's house and, my sister's house. And then I looked at the data and it told me everything I needed to know. And I've since then, I've been really trying to ramp it up and scale. So, yeah, I started out strong, but it was just that 30 days. Cause if the data wasn't there and I didn't see the results, I would have said, no, this isn't worth my time, but it quickly showed me that, wow, there's some big potential.
So when someone hears 225 videos in a month, I'm sure what's going on in their head is, 225, it takes me 9 hours to make a video. That's not even
Yeah,
humanly possible.
right.
And obviously we know it doesn't take 9 hours to make a video because now we've made thousands, and it's not
Yeah.
like that. But in those early videos for you, was it a straight shot where you just put it on selfie mode on your phone, or how did you film those videos?
You know, when I go back and I watch some of the earliest videos that I did, and now after being in the program for 10 months, I kind of cringe at even some of those earlier videos because I've just you naturally get more comfortable and a little bit more refined. But I mean, I was keeping them pretty simple. I just used my iPhone. That's all I ever used. I started off with just a little plug-in $20 microphone, that just plugs into the bottom of the iPhone, one of these little guys, and really didn't do any editing at all. I didn't run it through editing software and clean it up or refine it, but I understood some of the basic concepts that you've already touched on and that we've talked about, right? You got to have a clean background. You need good audio. You need to have good lighting. Natural lighting is best. And most of all, provide some value. I mean, that's the whole point of the program. So, um, my videos were pretty simple, but they kept those core elements that are super important. I really tried to prioritize and keep those in mind with all of them.
Cool. Now, I don't know how much you want to get into numbers, and we can cut this if you want to. But again, going in those early days, I
Yeah,
remember, as a blogger, you can probably relate to this, that for your first dollar blogging, it might be after you've already written 50 articles, that
yeah,
it's a few pennies at a time and
uh,
eventually grows, and you can make good money. But with
right,
the Amazon Influencer program, you can literally make money your first day,
yeah,
and it can
yeah,
be substantive. What was that experience for you as you were cranking these videos out? Were you making money right away?
yeah. So it was very slow to start, but that was just because I mean, when I first was uploading that first week, but that was because it takes a few days for your video to get accepted and published, and then for it to be live on the listing, and then for the consumer to watch the video, and then for the product to ship, and then for it to show up in your report. I mean, on a fast scale, you're still looking at maybe, I would say, 5 days really from the beginning to the end to really kind of even see before you're getting any kind of potential. So I remember that first week, that first 5 or 6 days. I mean, I'm like, I've already uploaded 25 videos. Where are they at? Where are they at? Where's the money? But then that graph really started to take off, and I ended up clearing $1,000 my first 30 days. Now I did 225 videos. That was a lot. But that was the proof that I needed that first 30 days. Like, okay, I've been over here building building blogs for months, writing tons of content, dealing with Google updates and all this stuff, and I made, $200. Now I just knocked out a bunch of videos and I made 1,000 the first month, and those videos are hopefully going to continue to earn and earn and earn. So it was very slow at that very beginning during the upload process, but once you learn the system, right, and you can continue to kind of crank them out, then it grew quickly.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, there've been a lot of ups and downs with the program since you started, and I know. So you got in February, March. In April, there was a big change in the program, and commissions went way down, and then they kind of stabilized over the summer. We saw another big drop
Yep.
in July, and then again in October.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of fluctuation with the program. How has that influenced what you've put into the program? Did you like scale back during hard times, or did you make adjustments and pivots throughout those times? What did you do in response to, or in lack of response to those changes?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I sort of maybe had a different outlook than maybe some of the other influencers that I've watched videos on or connected with. There definitely was those roller coasters, and I experienced them just like a lot of other people, but I never really lost faith in the program in terms of it's dead or it's not worth my time, mainly because I'm comparing it to my other side hustles that I have been doing, and the amount of time and stuff that it takes to gain sales or gain traction, and just going back to that concept that I can create a piece of content and it be put on a product page where someone is ready to purchase. I just thought that was phenomenal. So I really didn't let off the gas at all. Even during those slower months, I mean, I'm just looking ahead. I'm telling myself, quarter 4 is coming. This is still a great program. And going back to Merch by Amazon, my print on demand business. If I had known that back then when I first started, I would have went way harder. So I kind of used that lesson, right? It's like if I could go back in time, I'm sure you and I would have started blogs 20 years ago, and when it was much easier and they have grown and put all that into it. But so I just said, I'm going to really give it that first 30 days. And then after the 30 days, I just kept the foot on the gas and really tried to continue to feed the algorithm, feed the, more content, more videos.
Well, yeah, it is interesting with retrospect to think, yeah, I would have done things differently, but we also go with the flow because
Sure.
platforms change and grow and develop. When it comes to the Amazon influencer program, obviously you're making the bulk of your money from on-site commissions. That means, just like you explained, someone watches the video, they watch your video, and then they click and purchase it, and you get a small commission. But there
Yeah.
are other ways to make money doing product reviews. Have you capitalized on any of those other things? Offsite commissions, YouTube, sponsored posts? Are you doing any of those other things?
Yeah. I saw your video you posted just recently where you did that breakdown of all the different ways. You did a fantastic breakdown on that and there is a lot of ways that you can make money with this program and platform outside of just the on-site commissions. No doubt the on-site commissions are probably the most passive and the biggest chunk of money, but if you're creative and you're efficient, you can find some other ways. So I haven't really dove into that too much. I've done a little bit of testing with, for example, I have an email list with associated with one of my blogs, and like you could email out like an idea list or a curated product list from my Amazon storefront. I've tested that a little bit. I've done some shoppable photos, and aside from that, I've gotten paid by companies, manufacturers, or whatever to do the Amazon influencer program videos. But honestly, I haven't really push that too hard. I haven't really capitalized on that. After watching your video on that, I thought like, man, I really need to think about this because when you kind of extrapolate the numbers, it adds up. I mean, it really does add up. But for me, I have these other businesses, right? So
Right.
so I'm sort of just I'm hitting the low hanging fruit, the biggest bang for my buck, which is the on site. Secondary to that would be, when I negotiate with companies and they pay me, 25 to $100 for a video. And I don't even track those, to be honest with you. I don't even include those in my reports. It's probably a couple $100 a month, because
Mhm.
if it's a product I like or I want, I don't even charge for it. I'm trying to develop more. I'm more focused on developing long-term relationships with these manufacturers so that I get a steady supply than I am about earning $50 here, $80 there. I'd rather just like, hey, send me something once a week and I'll guarantee a video once a week, or and kind of build up this rapport with them.
Yeah. And I think that it's really cool to hear your perspective because you do have these other things bringing in income and other things that are keeping you busy so that you don't have to rely on the single on-site Amazon commissions like some people are. To
Yeah,
me, that's a little scary, is to think, because Amazon does change from time to time.
sure.
And I think right now, people are hopeful because it's Q4 and everyone's making
Yeah.
a lot of money.
It's great right now.
Right.
Everybody's loving it. But
But if we
it wasn't long ago that everybody was like, "Oh man, it's all for nothing." So,
Yeah. Yeah, October was rough, and I think we'll
yeah.
see some of that come back in January. And what we'll hear during that time is Amazon's oversaturated, there's too many people, you can't make money, you have to do too much product research, and you have to buy products. And,
Yeah.
and some of that's certainly true. Some of that's going to expedite your earnings, and you're going to do better if you do those things. But what would you say to those people that are saying Amazon is oversaturated, you can't do it? Is now a good time to start?
I think that now is a fantastic time to start, okay, with the Amazon influencer program or really any side hustle because I've been hearing this same thing that print on demand is saturated, right? That blogging is saturated, that Amazon KDP is saturated, that all of these other side hustles are saturated. And I wish people would rephrase it to say something like it's not as easy as it used to be. I think that's a more accurate statement. So, is Amazon influencer program harder today than it was a year ago? Of course, there's more people on the platform. There's a little bit more competition. But is it still a time to get started? Yes. It's like, yes, plant the tree today. I wish I would have planted it 10 years ago, but why not start today? And I think there's still an amazing opportunity out there. And there's a lot of different ways you can go with it, going back to what you just said about these other ways that you can earn as an influencer. I mean, Amazon's been explicitly clear. We don't are the content that we make and post on these product videos, they're not exclusive to Amazon. You could post it on YouTube and social media. You could work with brands and manufacturers. You could start websites. I mean, there's an entire world out there of UGC content, right? These content creators where you're helping brands promote their products. And so it's almost overwhelming to think about. Yes, now is a good time to get started. But if you go into it with the attitude that like, oh, it's oversaturated, I'm never going to make anything. I mean, it's like, okay, I don't know what to tell you. It's more for me then. You know, the people that are going to hustle and put their foot on the gas are the ones that are going to reap the rewards.
Yeah, you are a wise man. I think that's so true. And I think what you're saying here comes from lived experience. And I think that's important is you've seen more highs and lows than I probably have seen with various side hustles. And that's encouraging to hear because, for example, today I got a rejection letter from Amazon for their merch program. And I'm like,
Did you?
no, I totally want to do that. I think I watched one of your videos. I'm like, I got
Yeah.
to get in on this action.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there are a lot of highs and lows, but you keep trying and
Yeah.
eventually you find something that works. Um,
Absolutely.
Looking into 2024, this video will probably come out in January 2024. Do you have any personal goals moving forward, both with the influencer program, but just in general? What are you expecting from this year? You know, is AI going to take your job, or what's your outlook for this new year?
Well, I mean, you know, on a broader level for 2024, and me personally, and sort of my plan is I'm trying to eliminate some of my distractions, right? So we talked about the side hustles, and maybe some of the viewers out there can relate to this, where you feel like you've got 10 irons in the fire and you're really not sure where to focus your energy, because we all have a finite amount of time and energy, whether you work full time and you've got a big family, or you're solo entrepreneur. And I definitely have been a victim to having too many side hustles and too much going on. And this year, I really tried to focus in on the Amazon influencer program to grow it. And it showed me, man, if I really dedicate, you know, some time, I can grow this platform, right? And grow with this platform, and create a substantial amount of side income. So on a broader level, my goal is to do that across all my businesses. Get rid of the ones that are weighing me down, that just don't, the bang isn't worth the buck, you know? But specifically for the Amazon influencer program, I mean, um, I have no plans at all to let off the gas or to slow down. I'm already thinking about what kind of products I can try and source, or brands and things like that I can work with in, you know, the late winter, early springtime, right? We're going to round the new year. There's some holidays there. So I'm already kind of brainstorming. I constantly keep notes and spreadsheets here. So as I'm thinking of stuff, I can go in and do some research. So um, I'm really looking at just creating more content that I can publish on the influencer platform. That's still going to be my core principle, but I would love to be able to, you know, reach out and establish relationships with a couple really, really core brands that align with my interest. Because if I'm making videos about something that I have an actual interest in, generally it's going to be a little bit better quality video. It's just like if I was writing. If I'm writing about a subject I'm super interested in, it's going to come across maybe as a little bit more than a subject I'm not. So broader level is cut the fat, you know, get rid of the distractions, focus in on growing my core businesses, which Amazon Influencer Program has now achieved that status, and then continue to pump out videos. I mean, that's the name of the game. You got to get videos up and you got to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly done a good job with that. And Adam, I really appreciate you as a teacher on YouTube. I've learned a lot from you on all these different things that you're doing. Your channel is Side Hustle Simplified. And I believe you also have, I know this because I get it. You have a newsletter, but I don't remember how to get the newsletter. Can you just tell us if people want to follow you, where should they go?
Yeah, so I do have my YouTube channel, Side Hustle Simplified, and I started a newsletter this past year just as another way to kind of connect with my audience and offer some written content. I do enjoy writing. So the best way to get to that is, I think if you go to the description in any of my YouTube videos, I have a link to my newsletter. You can also follow me on Instagram, which is Side Hustle Simplified. at Side Hustle Simplified, and there's a link there in the bio where you can sign up for the newsletter. But yeah, that's going to be the best ways to kind of, follow along.
Cool. Well, really appreciate your time today. This was awesome.
Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate it, man. And best of luck to you on your channel. I'm subscribed and looking forward to more content from you.